For our first case, we were headed across the pond to America, more specifically to Kalamazoo in Michigan. Kalamazoo is about halfway between Detroit and Chicago, so it's quite a sought-after location, especially for people who commute to the bigger cities for work. It's known as a big town, but with a small town feel. So it's a pretty quiet place where not much really happens. So a lot of people like to live there to raise families and it's a perfect commuter, raise family, settle down kind of quiet, idyllic place. Exactly. So this is a kind of place, like I said, where nothing ever really happens. This is until the 20th of February 2016, when Jason Dalton shot and killed 6 people and seriously injured 2 others while working his shift as an Uber driver. This could be like the worst fucking cab ride ever, isn't it?
I know, God, can you imagine the camera footage for that? And you probably turned it off.
Exactly.
I suppose I would have.
I was like, I'm like, oh, he's such an Uber prick, and then I was like, ha ha ha, Uber.
Low hanging fruit there, I think.
I think so, yeah. This is a bit of a slightly different case because obviously he goes on a bit of a spree, does a bit of a spree killing. And normally with spree killers, you can kind of pinpoint parts in their life that have led them to this day where they just snap and just kill people, just go absolutely off the deep end. There is nothing in his life that is not ordinary. There is not one part of his life that triggers anything to suggest what's going to happen. It's
no shady mother or
no
anything.
Shady mother, no nothing. To his friends and family who knew him, Jason was described as a good family man who usually avoided confrontation and the type of person who would go out of his way to make friends with people. None of them would have ever entered his name on the list of future mass murder suspects. So who is Jason Dalton? Jason was born on the 22nd of June 1970 in Greenfield, Indiana, where
That's Tom's birthday. He's a Cancer sign.
Well, now you can tell him he shares it with a mass murderer.
I can. Lucky boy.
So, he grew up there and was raised there until his family moved to Kalamazoo during his high school years. According to friends and people who knew him in high school, he was a friendly and popular guy. He was co-captain of the football team. He had decent grades. He made friends easily. Again, a normal life, normal student. The coach and one of the teachers of the school described him as an average student with a promising athlete, as well as being co-captain in the football team. He also took part in the school's wrestling and track programs. So quite a sociable guy who made friends easily in school. Normal. After high school, he attended the Kalamazoo Valley Community College, and from there in December 1992, he graduated with an associate's degree in law enforcement. For those of you who don't know, including me, because I had to Google it, an associate's degree in law enforcement is the qualification designed to prepare students for entry-level careers in the field. So it kind of gives students an understanding of the constitutional law, federal law, state statutes, and decisions that courts take. So he passes this course quite well, but never actually goes on to enroll in the police academy offered by that same college. Although he then did go on, according to friends, to try to become a police officer in the state of Michigan, but couldn't get onto the force. So some friends have said he didn't really want to move out of Michigan to enroll as a police officer and just wanted to stay in Michigan, which is where this becomes, this is probably not a weird point to phrase, but I think it's strange because when he's not able to get employment as a police officer, he enrolls in YTech in Wyoming, which is like 1,400 miles away from Michigan. So he enrolled there to do take auto body classes, graduated there, moved on. And I know you could kind of argue, well, it's college, is not moving there permanently, so 1,400 miles maybe for college, although it's still really far, maybe not the same. He then went on to get employment with BMW in their New Jersey office. So New Jersey is about 830, give or take, miles from Michigan. So I know you could technically drive it in a day, but that's like a day's worth of driving, probably about like 10 hours worth of driving.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're commuting back and forth. So you have to move there to work there. But yeah, it's probably like nothing of consequence, but
It just seems erratic, like
Yeah.
not really erratic, but just like he doesn't think things through.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. This is where I was wondering, is this like not pointers to what will happen, but is he the type of person who just does things? It's
Yeah.
not like, okay, well, I didn't get a job as a police officer, maybe I'll go back and enroll in the academy, or I'll do something. It's just like complete change of career. So again, after moving to Michigan, well, Wyoming, then Michigan, all over the country, kind of. In his late 20s, Dalton moved back to Kalamazoo and made yet another career change and started working in the insurance industry. His friend Andrew Jameson said knowing about like auto body repair and auto body work helped get him settled in the insurance industry. When he first moved into this industry, he held jobs at State Farm and Progressive insurance companies. But eventually he actually went to work on for himself as an independent insurance adjuster, who worked on contracts for other companies. According to like all sources, he actually did really well in this. Like
Yeah.
he was making decent money and a good living. Life seemed okay. In 1995, Dalton married Carol, and together they had 2 children. At the time of the shooting, the children were aged 10 and 15.
Oh,
They're
no.
minors, and for obvious reasons, their names aren't listed.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably go and try and find them online, but why bother, really? Their kids have
Yeah.
to do with it. So they settled into family life. They're quite happy and living with his wife and children. The neighbours described him as a good man, a family man, kind man. Would help people, would go out his way to help people. Tells you not to trust your neighbours.
Exactly.
Don't trust the neighbours. The motherfucking neighbours. Although actually my neighbours are quite nice.
I don't know my neighbours.
Oh, my neighbours made me a cake on my birthday.
Oh, that's nice. I don't think, apart from when I was little, my neighbours were called my auntie and uncle. I don't think I've ever gotten to know any other neighbours I've had or anything. Because here it's kind of like the place where like 3 neighbours would stand on a corner, talk about you with their cup of tea, and then glance over, kind of like on Desperate Housewives.
It's exactly the same. Anyway, back to Dalton.
We digress.
Yes, we digress. So between kind of when he starts work as an insurance broker, settled down as a family man, there's really not a whole lot to tell about Dalton. His life is pretty much like all of ours, undocumented, unrecorded, because we just carry on.
Live our lives.
Yeah, exactly. Just run-of-the-mill guy, ordinary life. And sometimes I wonder if that's like what fucked him up. It's just like, no one knows who I am. But yeah, this was all about to change on the 20th of February 2016. And the only kind of link between this perfect family man and now, other than like the kind of erratic jumping, is Dalton loved guns. He loved guns. And before anyone out there, especially like people who maybe in America who like guns, are like, that doesn't make him a killer. No, it doesn't make you a killer to like a gun. But we're from the UK, and the only time we hear about guns is when someone's been shot and killed. So make of that what you will.
Exactly.
So at one point, someone had broken into Dalton's garage, and they had stolen quite a lot of his tools. So to protect himself and to protect his belongings, Dalton got some guns. Feel you could probably just put a better lock on your garage, but what do I know? At the time of his arrest, he had 15 guns in his home. And what's even scarier is all were legally owned. Why does one man need 15 guns? What the fuck is he going to do with 15 guns?
Yeah, because that's the thing, because most of the justification for having a gun is like, I need to protect myself, but I feel like 15 of them is overkill. Like, what do you need 15 guns for one person breaking into your house?
Exactly. I just don't understand why you need 15 guns. So while working as an insurance broker, not long before this, so in 2016, Uber came to Kalamazoo. So as a plan to save up for a little bit of extra money for like a family holiday or a nice trip abroad, somewhere nice, he took work as an Uber driver to kind of do work in the evenings after his job, just money, holiday money, really. So he was doing this job 2 weeks. So he's the second week of the job when this started. And I did Google it, and I did find he had a 4.73 rating on Uber.
That's what, out of 5?
Yeah, it's not bad, is it?
That's pretty good.
It's pretty, yeah. Like, it's not a bad score. So, like, clearly he was all right to start with, but, you know.
Yeah.
whatever.
I wonder if like gave someone a bad passenger rating and then they give him the bad driver rating.
Maybe, and then he just went mental.
Don't know.
Yeah. But it's just really strange because he seems to move through life completely normal. I know you've got those little blips where he goes erratic and all over the place, but late teens to early 20s, we've all done like, let's move here, let's do this, let's do that. We do it all the time. So was it that out of ordinary? Was it that different? I don't know. I don't know. It's just weird because you have this guy who seemingly blends completely into society with no hint. Like, he's 40 plus years old and he has no hint of mental illness. And I know you don't have to be diagnosed. And I know that people go undiagnosed for years with mental illness or something like this. But to trigger an event like this, surely something happens.
Because he could have had like his inner demons that he just like never told anyone about. And I think, well, from what it sounds like, he kind of just was fairly ordinary and just was like, there's nothing special to me or about my life or anything. So I'm just going to be a monster, because that would be the only thing that could be special about him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, wait, just you wait and see what happens in between monster time. You ready, mate? You ready for it?
I'm here for it.
The event you have all been waiting for. On the 20th of February 2016, Dalton met one of his friends at a gun shop where he purchased a black jacket designed to conceal handguns.
You'd only need that if you were planning on using it on someone, not if you were using it for protection.
Well, exactly.
I feel, unless you're walking around the street with it.
Yeah.
But if it's just to defend your home. Yeah.
I mean, I suppose you could argue like hunting and stuff, but would you use a handgun hunting? I don't know. But you just walk around your home with a gun, with my conceal and carry jacket on. So according to like the shop owner and his friend that he went with, he was in really good spirits, seemed chatty, friendly. His friend did later say he seemed a little subdued and quiet, but nothing that would make anyone even say, "You okay?"
See, that's strange that he gave no like signs that there was something wrong.
Yeah, exactly. This is the weird thing. So he spends like the day kind of shopping with this guy, and then goes back home. For some reason, walks his dog and then puts his dog in the back of his car, and then goes to start a shift as an Uber driver.
Yeah.
With the dog in the back of the car. Weird, whatever.
Yeah.
So at 4:20 p.m, or if you would like to be absolutely
so he's doing this with the dog in the back of the car?
Yeah.
Is the dog okay?
Well, just wait and see, Olivia.
Oh no.
No, the dog doesn't get harmed.
Okay, that's good then.
Leave the dogs alone, people. Leave the dogs alone. At 4:20, or if you want to be like bang on specific, 4:21, Dalton, who was driving a silver Chevrolet Equinox, picks up his first ride of the day, Mr. Matt Mellon. So Matt Mellon had been at a friend's house the night before and had left his car there having a few drinks, so had called an Uber so he could go back and collect his car. We've all been there, Matt. We have all been there.
Yeah.
Just have one. I'm driving. Just one. Then one's like 20 and you're like, fuck.
Good for him for not getting in his car and driving though.
Exactly. Well, we applaud you, Mr. Mellon. Well done. So he thought it was kind of strange that there was a dog in the back of the car. But other than that, it was kind of like the only weird thing to start with Dalton. So he gets into the front of the car and it starts off completely normal. They're making that really awkward like Uber/taxi driver banter where you don't really know what to say.
I'd hate that. I'd hate to be in a taxi alone.
Especially
I think I'd feel unsafe. Yeah. I wouldn't know what to say.
Exactly. I mean, I think as a woman as well, being a taxi on your own is just like terrifying. Yeah. So a couple of minutes, like maybe 10 minutes into the ride, Dalton gets a call from his son. This is where things get a bit weird. This is where the proverbial shit starts to hit the fan. It's just a really short phone call, and obviously he takes over the speakerphone because he's driving. And his son asks him, "Are you going to be home for dinner?" And the call ends, and all of a sudden, Dalton slams down the pedal, does a complete 180 turn, and goes absolutely flying down this residential street. He's got about 75, 80 miles per hour, just like flying down the street. Matt starts yelling and begging at him to pull over, to slow down, and Dalton just kind of looks at him and is like, "What's wrong with my driving? What's wrong with the way I'm driving? Don't you want a lift? Aren't you going to your friend's house?" And just really erratic and starts zigzagging out oncoming traffic. He's like constantly looking at Mike, like, where's your house? Where's your friend's house? Don't you want a ride? You called the Uber. And every house they go past, Mike's like, that's my friend's house. That's my friend's house. That's my friend's house.
Oh no.
She's like screaming at this guy to stop. And he's just going faster and faster down the street. Eventually, he stops the car and he comes to like a screeching stop, like slams on the brakes. He stops like bang outside this woman called Casey Black's house, who heard the noise and looked at her window. And this isn't funny, but it made me laugh because she saw a man barrel roll out of the car. So
oh my god.
So basically Matt Mellon has like freaked out as soon as the car stopped, just like dived out of the car and like rolled onto the grass just to get the hell out of the car. And it's not funny, but I just had this image of like looking at your kitchen window and this person just like dive bombing out of a car.
So is he okay?
He's okay.
What a fucking legend.
Yes.
Honestly.
Well, wait, save your legend worship for Mellon for later because it gets even better, right? So he gets out the car ride from hell and he instantly calls 911. And he's like, dude, I just got this Uber. He was driving erratically, like, what the fuck? And they're like, well, do you want to speak to a sergeant or do you just want to report this? Because the police didn't see him driving erratically. So really, there's fuck all the police can do about this unless they see someone driving like this. They can't do anything. So he reports it and they log a be on the lookout, or a BOLO, they call it for short. This call and this report and the BOLO proves vital for upcoming events. Even before shit really goes down, they have a make and model of a car. Even better, when Matt got home, he also decided to call Uber, because at the time you couldn't contact Uber on the app. It was actually this event that stopped that. The reason you contact Uber on the app now, not just via email.
What year was this?
2016. So Uber's still pretty new.
Uber was the thing, yeah.
It was new, yeah, it was a thing, but it was still pretty new. He contacts Uber and they come back and they give him his name and they also provide his picture. Right, so save that little nugget of information because we're going to come back to that. So, you know, just put that in your little hard drive in your head for 2 seconds. While Matt's on the phone to police, report on the phone to the police, and then subsequently Uber reports in the fucking car ride from hell.
Oh my god.
Dalton drove home, collected guns, put on a bulletproof vest, then got back in his car and went to collect his next fare.
Did his kids see him?
No one saw him. Right, buckle the fuck up because here we go. Dalton's next fare was for 15-year-old Macy at the Meadow apartment complex. He was driving around and he couldn't find where she was, and he was getting more and more irate, and he was calling her saying, you give me fake address, where are you, what's going on? And when she's trying to provide him with directions, he kind of just like hangs up on her because he's had enough. She texts him a couple of times being like, hey, are you still coming? What's happening? At the same time this is going on, he's going mental, poor young Macy. 25-year-old Tiana Carruthers was getting ready to walk her daughter and their 4 friends to one of her other daughter's house. All the girls have been round at her house playing, but they wanted to go round to their friend Joy's place and see her and kind of hang out with them. So Tiana kind of says, just wait a few minutes till I finish my workout and I'll walk you guys there so you can get there safe there. So she's kind of like crossed the road and she's just getting over to the park bit to kind of walk across the field to take the kids to Joy's house. When she sees this silver car speeding out of nowhere, and he like speeds right around the neighborhood, comes back, she takes a few more steps, and then suddenly he's like there, and the car's parked right there, and she can hear this dog barking in the back seat. And he kind of asks her, "Are you Macy? Are you Macy?" And she tells him no. And she said she remembers saying it like really quite snarky, like no. Because, you know, it's a family neighborhood. He's just been speeding around. And she's like, who the fuck are you? Piss off.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Still like, get out of my face.
Exactly. Like, who the fuck do you think? Just fuck off. So she's like, no. And turns around to start walking with the kids again. So he flies off speeding again. And she kind of keeps a look out of the corner of her eyes to what he's doing. And she sees him do a 180 turn and drive back down. And then she sees him coming towards her. And as he's about to pull level, she sees he has a gun out the window pointed at her. So she screams at the girls, run, don't come back no matter what, just run and keep running. So the girls start running, and Tiana, utter fucking legend, stays a bit closer to try and distract him away from these running kids. Kind of almost like a human shield. So Dalton opens fire and he's just like firing at random, and she thinks, okay, the kids are far enough away, so she decides, I'm going to run for this, I'm going to try. And she keeps hearing the bangs from the guns, and at first she feels these like really random bee stings in her body, but as the pain gets worse she realizes it's not bee stings, she's been shot. So it's at this point she's in a lot of pain, like she describes the pain in her legs, it's like burning agony. And she's like, I don't think I'm going to make it, I don't think I'm going to make it. But she keeps herself to keep moving and Dalton just kept shooting, and she's just like, run, 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 but he just kept firing shots everywhere. It eventually becomes too much for Tiana to move. She's been shot multiple times at this point, so she decides to kind of lay down behind this car and just pretend to be dead.
God, she's thinking so quickly for this situation. I think I'd just freak out.
She's so amazing in this. She literally is like such a legend in this situation. She hears the bullets stop and hears the car speed away and just starts screaming, are the kids okay? Are the kids okay?
Oh, well, oh,
I know.
Such a queen.
I know, she really is. Like, we love Tiana. We fucking love Tiana. Tiana has been shot 4 times. Both her legs are fractured, her arms fractured, and the 4th bullet has entered her liver. She's fucking injured. Her neighbor, Tammy George, heard the gunshots, saw what happening, and wisely waited till kind of Dalton moved off, because there's no much point. Like, I would run out. Like, you shouldn't. Why would you run out? Bullet fire is going to help no one. So she's called the services by like 911 at this point, but then runs out to Tiana, who's on the ground. And again, she's there, and Tiana, she just keeps screaming if the kids are safe, the kids are alive. And Tammy just keeps telling her, you need to stay still, stay down, the kids are safe, we've got the kids, they're fine, just stay down and stay safe. And this is where Tiana even becomes even more of a fucking queen, right? So not only has she just used her body effectively as a shield to protect 4 kids, when the police and paramedics arrive on the scene, she is fucking able to tell them she was shot by a man driving a silver Chevy, and he had a large dog in the back seat of the car. How the fuck was she able to know this? I would literally just be a hysteric, screaming ball of mess, just screaming, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Like, how she had the presence of mind to know that is just...
She must have been like, I've got to get everything in that I can. Yeah. I've just got to think what I may need.
Yeah, it's just incredible. While police and paramedics are kind of dealing with this active shooting that's happened, a couple of miles down the road, maybe at 5 minutes after, the police 911 get a call from Jordan Lummis, who was driving his pregnant wife to get ice cream, when a silver Chevrolet Equinox ran a red light, driving erratically, and sideswiped their car. So police are like, silver car shoots this.
Someone's going on here.
Yeah, exactly. And then someone's like, oh, that Bolo for that Uber driver, he was driving the silver Chevrolet Equinox. So they get the...
I'm amazed everyone knows what these cars are. If someone asked me to name the model of a car, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Me neither. I wouldn't have a fucking clue, mate. But anyway, they get this 911 operator to call Mac Mellon back just to see if there's any more info. And he's kind of like, oh yeah, did you get the guy? And they're like, oh no, we're just trying to see if he's involved in other any other like some other incidents that have happened lately. And he's like, yeah, I called Uber, I have his picture and his name, do you want them? And she's like, yeah,
that might be useful.
exactly, right? So right after this first shooting in this, they have this guy's car model he's driving, his picture and his name, so they start to look for it. Why the fuck did they not just call Uber though? Seriously, why the fuck did they not just call Uber and be like, hey, where's this guy's next fare? You think he shot someone?
Yeah, so he's still picking up fares at this.
Yeah, he's still driving around. It's an Uber. He's still like going around, and they're like, "Oh, we'll be on a lookout for this. You know, we'll be on a lookout for this car, and we'll pull him over." And I'm like, "Just call fucking Uber." Like, what the fuck? But anyway,
can they like track their Uber drivers?
Well, yeah, because you've got the app, don't you? You know, when you order a thing, you can see where it's coming. So you could just be like, "Where's the next fare?" and like whatever. But they don't do this, and this is serious fucking error, because the Bolo they put out in a matter of minutes is about to become utterly fucking useless. So after his run-in with Tiana and not even running, just fucking shooting the shit out of her for no reason, and then sideswiping Jordan Lummis's car, Dalton calls his wife and was like, hey, I need you to meet me at my parents' house. So she gets there, and his car is obviously scraped up and stuff, and she's like, what happened to you? And he tells her He was attacked and shot at by taxi drivers because they're in a war with Uber drivers.
The fucking audacity. That
Exactly.
is so bad.
Yeah. So she's like, okay. So she thinks she's acting a bit erratic, and she's like, well,
have they not put his face on the news or anything at this point?
Well, no, not at this point. No, nothing. He then swaps his car. So his parents are away on holiday, so their house is empty. He goes into his parents' house and gets a gun and tells her to keep the handgun on her for protection, and told her to go home, stay in the house, and keep the kids inside, and also not to go to school or work on Monday. At this point, his wife's like, what the fuck? You've just told me you've been shot at by taxi drivers. You're now giving me a gun and telling me to stay the fuck inside. What is going on? And he's like, no, don't worry about it. Uber's dealing with the incident. I don't really know what I'm going to do, but watch the 11 o'clock news and you'll know it's me. That's what he said.
What?
Yeah, I don't really know what I'm going to do, but watch the 11 o'clock news. You'll know it's me.
It just sounds like he wants to, like, I don't know, become famous for something, or just kind of, I don't know, become notorious for some stupid.
It's so bizarre, isn't it? He then also swaps his car for his parents' car. So the Bolo that was out for the silver Chevrolet Equinox is now fucking utterly useless, because he's now driving a dark-coloured Chevrolet HHR. And after this, he just carries on with his Uber shift as normal. He just picks up some other fares. The only thing these people you picked up are like, well, you got to list your car in your app. And we're like, why are you driving a different car? And he's like, oh, I had some car trouble. Sorry, I swapped my car out with my wife's car. Blah, blah, blah. That's the only thing. That was the only thing I note for those people. And this is what's so weird, this guy. This is where it almost becomes like almost like some sort of like psychotic break, because he's literally just shot someone multiple times, and for all he knows, she's dead.
Yeah.
He goes home and tells his wife to watch news, that'll be me. And then he just goes back to his shift as normal, like nothing's ever happened.
I wonder if he was like in shock.
Well, I don't know.
Or if he was just planning his next move. Maybe he just wanted to go out and do it again.
Well, we're going to get to that. He drives around as Uber driver normally, picking people up, gets to about 10 o'clock, and this is where things escalate. So bear in mind, Tiana was shot about 5 o'clock. We're now like 10 o'clock in the evening. Why the fuck have they, like, they still haven't put anything out in the news? Like, this Tiana's shooting was pretty much unreported in Kalamazoo up until the end of this event. So no one really knows about it. 10:01, Dalton drove by a Kia dealership and spotted father and son Richard and Tyler Smith. So Richard had taken his son Tyler to look at getting his very own first truck.
Oh,
I know. What should have been such a fun night turned into utter fucking hell for the Smith family. So Tyler's girlfriend Alexis had gone with them to the dealership, but she decided to wait in the car they came in while the father and son went to look at trucks together. Dalton spotted the pair, pulled his car up and got out of the car and walked over to them. And according to witnesses, he walked right up to them, like other people who were in the dealership, asked them what they were looking for, and then shot them multiple times. He fired 18 rounds at 2 men. There were several witnesses to the shooting and multiple calls come in to 911. They came in from customers at the dealership. They came into people across the street, people who were driving by. But the most heartbreaking one is from Alexis, Tyler's girlfriend. She got out of the car when Dalton had left. Again, clever girl, wait until the active shooter's gone. She ran over to try and wake them to make sure they were okay. She then had to get Tyler's phone out of his pocket and call 911.
Oh,
I know. And she's like, my boyfriend and his dad have just been shot. Both men died. They were both declared at the scene. By the time help got there, it was just too late. I mean, he had fired 18 rounds at 2 guys. Like, they had no chance.
So it wasn't just them in the dealership. He saw them wanted to shoot them.
Yeah, it was just them. He shot at no one else, just Richard and Tyler.
That's so heartbreaking.
I know. It's so sad. This incident made local media pretty quick. So it was witnessed by a lot of people, so a lot of tips and stuff came in. So it was on the news. So unfortunately, by the time police got to the house to notify Rich's wife and Tyler's mum, she was already aware that a fatal shooting had taken place at a local dealership. Yeah, she then had the heartbreak.
That's so sad, because she was probably thinking, oh, he's going to get his first car.
Yeah, it's so sad, and it's really sad as well, because Richard's daughter and Tyler's sister, she wasn't feeling well that day, and she was going to go with them, but she didn't, and she's like, I didn't even say goodbye because I just wasn't feeling well. I just went to bed.
It's like survivor's guilt.
Exactly, and also just like trauma. Like, can you imagine, like, just for any situation, it must be bad enough if someone, like, your loved one's been in a car accident and it's been accidental or something's happened, but for someone to turn up at your door and be like, your husband is suddenly be murdered.
Because it's just so sudden, and it's so like, okay, well, someone please explain to me why this happened, because I can't see any reason why this should have happened.
Exactly. So if you thought it was going to get better from here, you were mistaken. I'm really sorry. So around 10 minutes after the now murder of Richard and Tyler Smith, police received a call about another shooting outside a Cracker Barrel about 5 miles from the dealership. Dalton had shot into 2 cars, so he's just taken his gun and fired through the windows into 2 cars, killing 4 people and seriously injuring 1 other. So in the cars were sisters-in-law Mary Jo and Mary Lou Nye, Dorothy Brown, Barbara Hawthorne, and they were all old friends who had been out together. They also had 14-year-old Abigail Corp with them, but she was found alive but seriously wounded in the car. According to witnesses to the shooting, Dalton had approached Mary Lou and asked her to spare $1 to help make America great again. Ugh. Can you spare $1 to help make America great again? I mean,
fuck no, what's wrong with it?
Exactly. I thought we didn't have to hear that phrase again, like, ever, now that the fucker's gone from the White House. But I was like researching this case and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go, Trump.
Maybe that's
again.
where he got it from, although I suppose it's a bit after it, isn't it? I think that's...
Yeah, but Trump was still in... Was he not 16, 17, 18, 19, 20? So it's when he was like running for office, wasn't he?
Yeah, maybe that's where he got his slogan from.
But I saw that and I was like, oh, I hate you, you're disgusting.
That is disgusting. That is foul.
Yeah, exactly. So if it wasn't bad enough that someone asked this poor woman to spare $1 to help make America great again.
Also, what would $1 do? It needs a lot more than that.
It needs nothing, Olivia. We need to spare nothing to make. We need to like just rewind time. I will give $1 to rewind the last 4 fucking years of time. But like, so according to witnesses, after she's like, no, fuck off, basically, he followed her to the car and fired through the windows of both cars, just repeatedly firing again without any thought or hesitation. Again, it's just shot after shot after shot after shot. Then just walked away and got back in his car. These were lifelong friends who'd been out at a show together and had just stopped to get some food on the way home. 15-year-old Abigail was with them because Barbara was such a close family friend. She treated her like a granddaughter and had taken her as like a trip. Miraculously, Abigail, who has been shot in the fucking head, by the way, she was alive. She was rushed to hospital, but in a seriously critical condition. When her parents arrived, they were told that her injuries were so severe and to prepare for the worst. Like, there was nothing they could really do. The surgery that she would need, they weren't sure she was going to be stable enough. So they tried some surgery and they were going to see, but again, it was like pretty much she's going to die.
Yeah.
So her parents pretty much just sat with their 15-year-old daughter and held her hand and waited for her to die. Can you imagine how fucking helpless that would be? Just sitting next to your child and waiting for them to die. It'd be fucking horrific.
Yeah, and just trying to make it just as peaceful as possible.
Exactly. It's just so awful. A little bit later, Abigail's heart stopped beating. And doctors and nurses did CPR. But after a while of like no change with CPR, this part did me in when I wrote this part. I was like, oh God, it's so sad. Vicky Corp, Abigail's mother, asked him to stop so she could just lie with her and hold her like one last time. She took Abigail's hand and said, basically, please don't leave. If you're there, just don't leave. She fucking squeezed her hand back. Abigail was fucking alive still. It's like, I read that and I was like, yes, fucking Abigail, yes.
What, is she still alive?
She's still alive, right? So doctors again rush her to surgery, do more emergency surgery, and literally against every single fucking odds in the world, like, she's so fucking brave. She lives.
Yeah.
Abigail makes it. She's so brave. I have so much respect for this because she was 15 years old. She was in a car where people she knew and loved were murdered in front of her. She was shot in the fucking head. Hours and hours of rehab, and she's making a recovery. She's such a legend. I will post some like footage links to the videos and stuff for this in the description below, but you can see like footage of her in her recovery, and there's literally like a dent in her head where part of her skull was missing before they could reconstruct it, like where she'd been shot.
I can't imagine having your hand squeezed back.
I know.
Die into tears.
It's so horrific. Abigail has spoken about that night since, and she said the only reason she is alive is Barbara Hawthorne, the woman who was like a grandmother to her, pushed her down into the footwell of the car and tried to protect her, and that's the only reason she's alive. Otherwise she would be dead, because he just shot indiscriminately and fired again and again and again into that car. But back to the events of that evening, we have eyewitnesses at the Kia dealership, and we have eyewitnesses at the Cracker Barrel. So police finally know that Dalton is driving a dark coloured Chevrolet now, and not the silver Equinox as before. So as I'm sure you can imagine, by this point it's pretty well known in Kalamazoo that there is an Uber driver driving around shooting and killing people. One would think maybe at this point the police would have been like, maybe call Uber, set up a fake pickup, or maybe just call Uber and be like, yo dudes, can you like suspend service for a bit till we fucking sort this out? Or where is he? Like, where is he? But no, the police don't do this. The police fucking do not do this. They don't fucking call Uber. They don't suspend service of Uber. They do nothing. And Uber like Dalton in his Uber continues to pick up fares. Why the fuck are you getting in a fucking Uber if there's a shooter in an Uber car? Why the fuck are you getting in an Uber? That's
the thing. Uber constantly come under fire for just like doing the wrong thing in these situations. Like when, I can't remember, I think it was like someone drove a lorry into London, it threw a load of people, then got out and started shooting people. And then I can't remember what taxi service we had, but all the taxis kind of were like, okay, we can get you home free of charge, we'll just get you home safely. But Uber upped the price of their fares for people to get home.
Disgusting.
And I know that it's based on an algorithm, but it's like, surely you could set up some system to make it free.
So you would think. Safe. Yeah, it's so fucking shit. But even like in this case, like Uber maybe haven't even been made aware by Kalamazoo police that this is happening. Dalton's not exactly going to be like, hey Uber, I'm your driver, I'm killing people. But I just don't get why the police aren't like, they literally have a fucking app that can track this man, like an actual fucking app that can track it. And they don't think to utilize this. All they do is put out a statement on like the Department of Public Safety Facebook page to be on the lookout for the shooter in this vehicle.
In some places, this would have been over now. They'd have found him. They'd have gotten.
Yeah, like I know I keep saying it, but I cannot get over the fact. Why did they not just call Uber? If they had done it after Tiana had been shot, no one maybe would have died. Like 4 people have now been murdered because of this guy. Like 4 fucking people are dead. 6 people actually, sorry. 6 people are dead.
I was going to say, are there more?
No, 6 people are dead because of this.
Okay, so what happened to the dog by this point? Is he still in the back of the car?
I don't know. The dog's never really spoken about again. But he was there when like they arrested him, so dog's fine. But dog's still in the back of the car. And people keep getting Ubers, and people who obviously gave evidence because they talked to people who took rides from him that day, they were even joking like, hey dude, are you the shooter? And he's like, no, I'm just tired. 1, do not get in an Uber if there's an active shooter in an Uber, and 2, do not, for the love of fuck, ask him if he is a goddamn fucking shooter.
Yeah, what an insensitive thing to say as well. As this is going on, they haven't caught him yet, and you're joking, are you the shooter?
I know. So
America is wild.
So wild. I just don't get it. But So at this point, Dalton at 12:04 a.m., so we're kind of on February 21st now, next morning, he fares up and drops them off at the campus. At 12:12 again, he picks another fare up and then drops them off. And then he picks 3 other people up, just like a previous ride. They're like, "Are you the shooter?" And he's like, nah, not me.
Couldn't be me.
It couldn't be me. It's not me. Like, he's still collecting fares. So he's still working as an Uber. We're like almost 6 hours. Well, we are like almost 7 hours past the time when Matt Mallon originally called in and said, "We've got this crazy shooter." It was like, what, 3:30 when he shot Tiana? So we're like nearly 6-7 hours past the point of the first shooting, and they still haven't contacted fucking Uber. Fucking done it. Like, I just like, what the fuck? Who the fuck was like, yeah, let's just not contact Uber?
I don't understand how there wasn't one person. Maybe there was one person that said, "Shall we contact them?" And then their managers or whatever was just like, "Nah."
Yeah, the sergeant was like, "No, sir. No, sir. We're not collecting Uber."
I did see the point in that.
We'll do proper police work. We'll investigate. Let's find him.
We can be heroes
just for one day. Finally, at 12:36, after doing their proper police work of search, they're carrying out like stop and searches of cars that look like the one Dalton's driving. And at 12:36 a.m. on the 21st of January, a Kalamazoo County sheriff spotted him driving and pulled him over. He calls for backup, first of all. They arrive there and they pull him over. When he's arrested, he's wearing a bulletproof jacket. He had a handgun at his waist and a 9mm Walther P99 semi-automatic handgun with an extended magazine was recovered in his car. I hope I said that gun name right, because I don't have a fucking clue.
I don't know if I don't really understand what a magazine is.
Well, a magazine's where they've got the bullets, isn't it? That's like the...
Yeah, because I think they now have they have some kind of cap on the kind of magazine you can get after what happened in, was it the Orlando shooting?
Oh yeah, that was horrific.
So that's like the one regulation they put on guns in the last forever.
Good for them.
Hello, this is Olivia. I'm editing and I just wanted to jump on and apologise and say it's not magazines that have a ban on them, it's bump stocks. On with the video, thanks.
I'm surprised he didn't have all the guns with him.
Yeah, I thought he'd have, more. He clearly had enough with him, but yeah, I don't know. He only took 2. Maybe they're his favourites.
But that makes me think, I don't know, it's weird because it sounds, you'd have more on you if this was a planned thing, because people fully stock up and then they usually kill themselves after.
Well, I don't know if that was his plan, though. I don't think he even really had a proper plan. Like he said, I don't know what I'm going to do, but watch the 11 o'clock news and it'll be me. So he's already shot Tiana at this point, but he hasn't killed or shot or killed anywhere else at this when he said that to his wife. But I don't know. I don't know if he had a plan. No. But maybe he's just like, let's just roll around and shoot people and see what the fuck happens. Go with the flow. Yeah, what an utter uber prick.
Fucking tool.
He literally does just need to like fucking tool. He really does just need to like fuck off to the gate, walk through the gate, and just keep on fucking all the way off though, doesn't he? Like literally. Dalton is taken into custody and it's like someone has flipped a switch and he is a completely different fucking person. He is like so chilled out. He's chatting to the police. He's like happy to chat away, just relax.
I hate it when they do that. It's like, I just did this horrific thing, but I'm going to be really cooperative now.
Yeah. And they're just talking to him. They're just having a nice chilled out thing. But whenever they bring up the subject of why did you do what you did, or do you know how many people you killed today, he would just plead the fifth. For anyone who doesn't know what plead the fifth means, plead the fifth, it relates to the Fifth Amendment of the US Constitution, which guarantees an individual cannot be compelled by the government to incriminate themselves. So kind of like the right to remain silent, really, isn't it? You're like, no comment, basically. So they talk.
No comment, but I'm guilty.
But then, you know what? If I was ever arrested by the police, I probably would no comment the fuck out of everything, because they can twist anything into making it sound like you're guilty. So
yeah,
what if
I'd be like, no comment. I want my lawyer. I think I can have a phone call, but I don't know if that's true.
Well, you can, and this is what fucks me up. Everyone's like, well, he asked for a lawyer straight away, so clearly they're guilty. No, he's smart. You like, if I mean, obviously I would never commit a crime like this, but if I was ever even under suspicion for doing something like this, the first thing I would do is be like, lawyer.
Yeah, like, everyone has the right to a defense.
Yeah, never, ever,
even
ever
pricks.
go in. Yeah, even pricks. Just whatever you do, never go into a fucking police interrogation room without a lawyer, because they will fuck you over. So they just spent ages talking to him, and then he finally starts to tell them what happened. But he tells them in such like a monotone way. It's almost like he's reading from a script that he's memorized. He's just fact. They were like quite chilled with him. They're like, oh well, do you know what happened? And like, if he wasn't a white man, would they have been as chilled with him? They have just, like that fucking plea, he just had a bad day, that shooting the other day. Fuck off, you've killed people, have a bad fucking day. He's a fucking murderer, you fucking prick. Anyway.
Yeah, on my bad days, I come home, I have a bath, I drink, I have a bit of cry with the Tom, and then it's fine.
Exactly.
I don't go out and shoot people.
Oh, it's so fucking stupid. Like,
there is a line that you don't need to cross when you've had a bad day.
Exactly. And I'm pretty sure that, like, I kind of wonder that, like, so this is a guy who drove around shooting people at random from his car. If he was, so he's a white guy, right? But say he was a Muslim, would everyone know his name? Because would he be automatically branded a terrorist, even if it was like just like a case like this? There was no reasoning for it, there was no cause for it, he just one day flipped. This would be worldwide news as a terror attack in Kalamazoo in Michigan.
Yeah,
but it's a white guy that does it, white middle class man, so therefore shit happens. It's clearly saved for a certain percentage of the population the word terrorist is reserved for, and it's so fucking wrong. And it's like in New Zealand when they branded that guy who went into the mosque and killed people, it was horrific, and they called him a terrorist. Fucking finally called him a terrorist, because I'm pretty sure remember in London a couple of years ago when that guy drove the van into people coming out of the mosque after service, I think it was during Ramadan, and they'd been to evening prayer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just, like, I don't think they ever called him a terrorist, and he fucking should have been called a terrorist. Dalton's finally talking in the police station, and again, he just reveals everything he says in such matter-of-fact way, like he's reading off a script. So after confessing everything, he's obviously arrested and charged with 6 counts of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. So when Dalton finally starts talking about why he's done this, about what he did, they ask him, why did you do it? And I shit you not, this was his reason. When he downloaded the Uber app, it came up with a devil head / horn head that appeared on his screen. He pressed it and saw the devil, and that's where his problem started. Yeah, your face says everything. That is literally it. His excuse, his whole reasoning behind committing these murders was he saw the devil in the fucking Uber app.
Is he KKK? I just feel like that's what this is. I just feel like it's some kind of like alt-right thing.
Well, it sounds like it, but other than Tiana, everyone else is white. Because I thought that when I first started reading it, I was like, I wonder if it's going to be like a bit of a, I don't really know. It's a good point though, because he did ask her to make America great again, so maybe she's turning her back on. But then
maybe he was just another asshole who was trying to pretend that he wasn't the whole of his life.
Maybe,
and then it just came all out.
It's impressive for like 40 plus years, but yeah, it could be.
Because people do sociopaths live among us, don't they?
They really do. Okay, so the Olivia, the word I can't say.
Preliminary.
Thank you. Hearing took place in May 2016. Tiana made the incredibly brave decision to give evidence during this hearing. I can't imagine how traumatic that literally must have been for her.
I know.
She's like literally facing the man who tried to kill her and's got to give evidence against him, and that must be like terrifying. I don't know if I would have the guts to do it or even look in the eye or anything.
Yeah, I think because she was with a group of kids as well, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So she was probably like secondhand terrified as well on behalf of all of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. But yeah.
And I can't imagine what those girls feel like.
Fuck knows. I mean, that's going to like scar them for a good while, isn't it? But of course, Dalton, he decides to be the fucking prick that he is and make the whole ordeal for her even worse than it needed to be. So when she gets up to give her evidence, he starts shouting completely nonsensical statements and just going completely mental. So he starts getting up and starts yelling completely nonsensical things like, no, they gave the bags, those old people, they have the old bags. What are they called? They're black. They have the black bags. People driving around, and the people, they look at them. And then he's like, it gets real bad. It's time to look. And what do they do? It's time to get to the temple, people. Time for the temple. Like, it's completely fucking insane. There is video footage of this, so I will put it below so you can see it, but it's fucking mental. So obviously poor Tiana completely breaks down into tears, and the judge is like screaming at Dalton he needs to be quiet. His lawyer is telling him to shut up, but he just keeps going, to the point security literally cuff him and literally drag him out of court, like actually like dragging him by the arms, feet dragging along behind them in the ground. I think personally, in my humble opinion, this was an attempt for the insanity plea.
Yeah,
I think that's all it was. I think it's very possible he had a mental breakdown one day and did what he did. I don't think he did. I think he was just fucking arsehole. But I think it's an attempt for the insanity plea.
What has his wife said up to this point? Is she standing by him, or has she?
She's turned her back. She's utterly devastated. She wants like nothing to do with him at all. Won't give witness statements or anything like that. She's humiliated as well, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Because
people are probably looking at her being like, well, what was your marriage like?
Exactly.
Or like, were you a bad wife?
Yeah. Or how did you not know? How did you not know this was going to happen? So I don't really know how he thinks he's going to get away with this as working for the insanity plea, because he has zero history of mental illness. And I know, as we've just talked about, you don't have to have history or necessarily present all the like well-known symptoms to have it. But to go through 44 plus years of life with not even a hint of anything out of character. He's not even killed a fucking cat. They all love killing cats, and he's never killed a cat. Nothing like this has ever happened. It's strange.
That we know of.
Well, yeah, that we know of, that's true. I did do digging, but I couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
But he went home, he got a bulletproof vest, he got the guns, he told his wife, I'm going to be on the 11 o'clock news. This was pre-fucking meditated. He may have shot people at random, but he was obviously out to kill people that night, obviously.
Yeah, he wanted to be infamous for something.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't say it wasn't because of a psychotic break or anything, because I'm not a psychologist, but I don't think it is. And there's a reason for this as well, because his outburst in court and his reasoning of suing the devil in the Uber app, his attorneys decide to go with the he's insane argument, and they sent him to the Michigan Center for Forensic Psychiatry for review. The Michigan Center for Forensic Psychiatry is a hospital that provides diagnostic services for the criminal system and psychiatric treatment for criminal defendants who are adjudicated to be too incompetent to stand trial or acquitted by being not guilty for reasons of insanity.
I wonder how reliable and like accurate they are.
Well, the process takes 60 days. The reason it takes 60 days is because the staff monitor them constantly at 24/7, and you can put on insanity for a day or two, but you can't fake that for 60 straight days. At the end of the 60 days, surprise, surprise, the centre declared that Dalton did not meet criteria for insanity and therefore would not be able to use this as his defence. So yeah, exactly.
Fucking ace.
Exactly. So his trial was supposed to start in October 2016, but it was delayed a few times until the 7th of January 2019, so kind of recently. There's not really any reason I could find for these like delays, but having lost his insanity defense, I guess, I don't know what caused it, but all of a sudden Dalton decides he's of complete sound mind and body and pleads guilty to all counts. So the sentencing took place on the 5th of February 2019, and Dalton was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. And I'm really mad because I forgot to Google if Michigan was a death penalty state, because I wonder if pleading guilty removed death penalty from the table.
Hi there, it's the fact-checking fairy here. How you doing? I just wanted to clarify that Michigan does not have the death penalty and made it unconstitutional in 1964. That's all. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if there might have been a deal struck or something.
Maybe.
But also, I know that in some cases they get a lot of it they get a worse sentence if they put the families of the victims through hell and back to try and get like a not guilty verdict. So maybe he was just trying to spare them more time to make him look good, because I really think that all of this is just he's tried to be like a normal guy his whole life. He's realized he's not special. Then he's tried to do this thing that will like get him in the papers, get him on TV. And now he's just like, I still want people to think I'm a good guy though.
Yeah, well, possibly. It's a good point.
It's like, I didn't hurt the families further.
Yeah, well, this thing, so the families and friends of family get a chance to read out victim impact statements, losing someone they love so fucking violently, brutally, and suddenly. And then when it goes to Dalton, he's literally just like lounging in his chair, just leaning back like he's watching a movie he wants to end so he can go home. Like, it literally looks like he's completely unfucking fazed by the whole situation.
Yeah, it's like, you don't get to just go home, you don't get to just move on. Like, sorry if we're boring you, but you're an asshole.
Yeah, exactly. Sit here. If you're like, again, I'll put the link to this video in the bit below of our description. It's really, really sad to listen to, because obviously these people are just talking about quote unquote man enough to take a life. You're a fucking man enough to sit there and listen to what you did to people when you chose to take that life. And like, that's basically it. Like, Dalton's now in prison. He will never be released. His wife and children have moved from the area and are trying to get a new start away from this utter shit show that he created for them. And that's it. He's never given any other reason. He's never said, I did this because of X, Y, and Z. He's never given any reason except for seeing the devil in the Uber app. Yeah.
It's probably because he still wants people to talk about him and just be like, I wonder why he did it.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I like about this case. Is like, I know I'm talking about it now, I'm making it publicity, but it's not a massively known one. It's known in the area and it's known round about. I suppose it's maybe a bit more popular in America itself. But I like the fact that he never made big news. He was just another mass shooting in amongst millions of them. So yeah, Kalamazoo kind of went back to life as normal after the sentencing. However, 4 months after the sentencing, another tragedy struck Kalamazoo. 9 cyclists were hit by a pickup truck driver that went out of control. 5 of the cyclists were killed and 4 suffered serious injuries. And again, the town was like, what the fuck? Like, nothing ever happens and this happens again.
Yeah.
So in memory of people in the cycling incident, but also Dalton's victims, they started the Forever Strong Memorial. And they have a website, and to quote, "This is to preserve the legacy of the lives taken and forever changed and give our community a space to come together, reflect and remember and heal. A memorial consisting of several unique sections will be developed. The Forever Strong Memorial will pay tribute to each victim and survivors and symbolizes the notion that our collective conscience, although our collective conscience has been shattered, darkness will not win."
Oh, that's really nice.
And that's it, folks.
So sweet.
That is the story of crazy Uber driver Jason Dalton.
What a nubber.
I know.
Like a nubber.
Yeah, complete nubber.
I don't know. In cases like this, I'm literally just like, they must have been so uninteresting.
Yeah.
That they had to do this.
Well, that's the thing. Like, do you think he was so desperate to become like something of note? Like, then when he didn't achieve like the police, when he maybe didn't achieve what he wanted in life, he just went mental. But
yeah, or maybe he just really wasn't happy. Maybe he just wanted people to think that he was happy.
Yeah.
And then he just snapped.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Like, there's literally no reasoning for it. Yeah, I think this guy literally just snapped one day and that was it. And it's so bizarre because it all starts, if you remember at the beginning, and Matt Mellon says he got a phone call from his son just asking if he'd be home for dinner. That was it. That seemed to be the whole
that's
of it.
Weird. And imagine being his son as well. Like, I literally asked him what he wanted for dinner, or like when he was home for dinner.
Exactly. It's so fucking strange. It's so bizarre. But yeah, I guess until he stopped saying he saw the devil in the app, we'll never really know why he did it. And that's it for this week, you bunch of little murderinos. We will see you next week for another venture into the true crime universe. Bye!
Bye!